Let's get some prize picks in today, guys. Another 4-2 slip last night. Giannis Brook Lopez cashed very easily. I mean, Giannis was kind of cooking at the end, but he could not get the 31.5 points. Lopez cashed pretty easily, maybe into the second half, pretty early on. Sabonis and Kevin Huerter was looking pretty good. I think Kevin Huerter had like 9 to 11 points by the fourth quarter. Then he actually just went against us in that quarter there. And then Durant and Grayson Allen could not even hit together, even if we took both overs, because Grayson Allen ended up only playing 13 minutes. So obviously we cashed the under easily, but Kevin Durant did go over his assist. So 4-2 day again. I do have another 6 legs for tonight. So maybe we hit tonight, but pretty decent run on these YouTube picks. 4-2 is always great to see. That's a 67% hit rate. Tonight we're going to be making a similar slip. We're going to do 2 stacks and then 2 normal positive expected value plays. And we're going to kick it off with the Chicago Bulls and start with Vucevic here on the under 18.5 points, as well as Kobe White on the under 6 assists. Let's take a look at these guys a bit closer. So Kobe White right here, under 6 assists. So Vucevic to start, I'm liking this under 18.5. Minus 125 juice, minus 130 juice. Basically juice on every single sportsbook towards the under, except for PointsBet. But as I always say, PointsBet is a bit of a weaker sportsbook, easy to beat. So these are the game logs without Zach LaVine. Of course, Zach LaVine missed like half of the season, but 53% hit rate on that over, which is not good to see when I'm grabbing the under, obviously. But just in general, he has a 43% hit rate over the season and a bit inconsistent in terms of where he kind of stands with his points prop. Tonight, they are up against the Toronto Raptors, 18th in points allowed, 19th in rebounds allowed, and 25th in assists allowed. They've actually played the Raptors 3 times this season. He got 24 points in the most recent game and then 11 and 9 in these other games. Now, the Toronto Raptors lineup has changed quite drastically since these games. So this is kind of the most recent data with the Raptors' newest lineup. In the last 7 games was basically when the Toronto Raptors had their newest lineup, and you can't really go much further than that. I think last 15, the trades were still not done yet. But if you check the last 7, the Toronto Raptors living 23.61 points against the center position. If we check throughout the season, they were actually at 22.95, so pretty much not changed too drastically. They are letting in a bit more points nowadays, but another thing to note is they are playing at home tonight, minus 6.5 spread, and a pretty low total here. They're both kind of slow-paced teams here, so under 227 or over 227 is what the total is at. Pretty low there in terms of points. It's not going to be an absolute shootout here with a ton of points. But the reason I bring this up is at home, Vucevic's splits are slightly worse here. 29% hit rate at home, 6 out of 21 games. But I'm not weighing this in too much because if we look at Kobe White, he actually does have a better home splits. Goes from 36% to 46%. And we don't get him at 5.5, which is why I really do like this play on the under. There is juice towards over 5.5 on every single sportsbook. We're getting him at 6. And when you check him at 6, we get an extra 1, 2, 3, and 4 push lines. So these push lines are very useful, especially when you're throwing them in the 6 flex, because you just revert down to a 5 flex. You're not too bothered by that. You could also check Kobe White without Zach LaVine here. So 30% hit rate throughout the season, which is abysmal, right? But without Zach LaVine, it does get slightly better once again. Then there's also the thing to note here. Toronto's defense, 25th in assists allowed, does give more opportunity for Kobe White to get assists. But again, their defense has changed. Their whole lineup has pretty much changed recently, so these defense allowed stats are not really as up to date as they could be. The main reason I'm liking these guys is just as a pairing. So first of all, Kobe White is too high, as we said. 6 is a nice spot for him, and then Vucevic has juice towards the under. But also a lot of Vucevic's points are going to be assisted, and they're going to be assisted by Kobe White. See right here, 2-point field goal made assisted is at 73%, which essentially means 3 out of 4 of his buckets are going to be assisted by someone, most likely Kobe White, and I'll show you guys in a second that it normally is Kobe White. Also worth noting that obviously his 3-pointers are going to be 100% assisted. I mean, this guy's not creating his own 3-point shots, but Vucevic is only expected to get about 1 3 this game. He averages about 1 throughout the season, and there's heavy juice on his under 1.5, which means he's pretty much likely to get 1 or less 3 this game. Vucevic does hit a 3, that could be a potential assist for Kobe White, but obviously there's also DeMar DeRozan and, you know, the rest of the team who could be assisting him on this 3, but I'm just looking at for what's likely to happen, and I do think that if Vucevic is going under his points, it's likely that Kobe White is also going under his assists. The 3 main scorers on this team are Vucevic, Kobe White, and DeMar DeRozan. And for DeMar DeRozan, I did check his assisted field goals, and you can see 72% of his 2-pointers are unassisted, and 90% of his 3-pointers are assisted. Like Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan is only expected to get 1 3-pointer made. So if DeMar does make this 3-point, it is likely it will be assisted by Kobe White, but all these other 2-point field goals will not be. And if DeMar is having a very good game, it's likely that a lot of his points are not going to be assisted. And just to show you this exact relationship from last game, I have Vucevic's point log here on his field goals made. Again, these ones are all 2-pointers. He didn't hit any 3s last game. This was versus the Trailblazers. So just the most recent game here. You You can see right here, this shot was assisted by Kobe White. This one, DeMar. This one, Kobe White. So that's 2 assists, Kobe White, 3 assists, Kobe White. And then this one's AO2. Obviously, not all of Vucevic's points will be assisted by Kobe White. But you can see right here, this is 3 assists for Kobe White, and that's 6 points for Vucevic. So they kind of go up together. It's also worth noting that every single one of these was assisted last game. So every single point that Vucevic got was assisted, which is exactly what we saw on the NBA.com stats, where Vucevic's 2-pointers are going to be assisted more often than not. That is what I'm going for on the Chicago Bulls, and I'm doing something similar with the Golden State Warriors. This one is a bit iffy. I wouldn't mind if you guys fade it. If you guys don't like it, don't grab it. It is a bit risky. Except as Draymond Green under 8 assists, I am liking this, but the pairing I'm going with is Steph Curry. I was first looking at his under 27.5 points. I'm not loving it. I like the under 4.5 3 points made better. So Draymond Green under 8 assists with Steph Curry under 4.5 3 points made. And Draymond, I'm really liking. Curry is the one that's a bit questionable for me. So on Draymond, 7.5 assists, he has juice towards the over. See how it wasn't as strong as Kobe White's? Like Kobe White had minus 145 all across the board. This one only minus 125, minus 125, minus 135, and the highest is minus 139. But I honestly think this should probably be set at 7.5. And at 8, we do get 2 extra games of push potential. He hasn't played much this season, as we know. He hasn't played much this season, so it's kind of hard to gauge how he's going to play. But 19 games, and he has gone over the 7.5 assists, 7, 9, 19 times. And yes, there's a lot of weird minutes for Draymond. If you go check his minutes logs, 21 minutes in the first 2 games, 29. And then most recently, he wasn't in the starting lineup on his return. I believe these 3 games he didn't start. These 2 he did. But this was a double or even triple OT game versus the Lakers, where he did play 46 minutes. Obviously, that's not going to happen again. But in that game, he did drop 11 assists. But even in this other game where he only got 31 minutes, he still dropped 11 assists. So I go in the under here. I'm not concerned about these past 2 games. I just want to project how he's been doing with this general minutes. And I had the settings on before. From 27 to 35 minutes, I think is most realistic to where he's going to get. Obviously, he's not going to drop 46 minutes again tonight. He does have a 56% hit rate on the over. But look at 2 of these times, we're at exactly 8. Which means if we get him at 8, we're actually going to push there rather than going under. Then there's only 3 out of 7 games where he's actually going over. So that's where our play completely chalks. So we do have a decent push potential on this line. Sort of got this 27-35 minutes by projecting the minutes here. So one projection site has him at 30 minutes projected. The other side has him projected all the way at 36 minutes. I think these numbers are pretty high, and you can see there's a big discrepancy between them, 30 to 36 minutes. So I kind of just threw in 27 to 35. But even if we bump it up to 36 minutes and give him that extra game, still only 50% of the time he has gone over this line. Now, as a pairing, I said I want to go with Curry, and I was going to go under on his 27.5 points. But you can see there's actually pretty decent juice on his over, at least on DraftKings, minus 135 on that over 27.5. And PointsBet has him already at 28.5. So maybe the over 27.5 points is actually a decent play. I don't really look into much. But when I saw that, I said, let me go check his 3-pointers. And yes, he has gone over 55% of the season. And it is Steph Curry. And he does average 4.7 3-pointers made per game. But I'm grabbing the under. That's why I said if it's questionable, you guys don't like it, go grab the over, do what you want, or just don't take it at all. But with Draymond Green, he actually averages more 3 points made. And why is that? Probably because Draymond's there to assist more of these 3-pointers. For Curry, if you check Curry's assisted field goals, his 2 points are actually unassisted a lot of the time. So 65% of the time, kind of similar to DeMar DeRozan. And his 3-pointers are assisted much more. So 60% of his 3-pointers are going to be assisted. Only 40% of them he's kind of creating on his own. You could even see in this last game where he dropped 9 3-pointers in that OT game versus the Lakers. Check how it looked. 1/3 of these were assisted by Draymond. This one here assisted by Draymond, this one, and this one. So that's 3 out of the 9. So 1/3 of them. And then the rest were either assisted by someone else or just unassisted. So this one was unassisted, this one assisted, this one assisted, and I believe these 2 were unassisted, while this one was assisted by Klay. Of course, that lines up with what you kind of just saw on the assisted 3-point field goals made that we saw on NBA.com. That's why I'm going with the under 4.5 3 points made. I think it has more of an association with Draymond's assists rather than his general points, because a lot of his points are going to be unassisted either way. And if I didn't already mention, there is juice on every single sportsbook towards the under. Again, except PointsBet, but FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, and MGM all have a slight juice towards the under 4.5. So I do prefer it over the over. One thing we didn't talk about is the matchup. Tonight they are playing against the 76ers, and the spread is at minus 3.5. So I do think they are pricing in Embiid and Maxey not playing, because even with Golden State at home, I don't think a 3.5 spread kind of makes sense for 76ers. I think they are expecting Embiid to be out. Just when I say they, I mean the sports books in general. So if there is a surprise where Embiid and Maxey are playing, or at least one of them are playing, I do think it's going to be a much tougher matchup for the Golden State Warriors, meaning we're going to capture some value on these lines. The Philly defense is 10th in points allowed, 9th in assists allowed, second in 3 points allowed, and they have the lowest 3-point percentage allowed in the league. So these surprise injuries, if these day-to-day turn into, available, then it's going to look very good for us on these unders. I do think we're going to capture some value on these. Similar to when we were looking at Toronto's defense, not going to be the same without Embiid, Maxey, Melton, all these players. But if there is a surprise, I do think it's going to definitely go favorable in our direction. So that's why I'm going with Draymond Green under 8 assists, Steph Curry under 4.5 3-points made. And the last two picks, one is actually going to be in the NHL. Robert Thomas here, it is a popular pick. It's actually the most popular pick in the NHL right now. And the reason is, guys, everyone just looks at the last five. The last five is all green. You better believe it's going to be on the popular page. I'm not taking this because it's popular, because it's last five green. I just like the pick. I'm going to get into it a little bit. But Robert Thomas over half an assist. See the same thing with all the popular picks. It's kind of funny. You can see here 4 out of 5 green. So I bet everyone is on the over on that. Same thing here with Jordan. Past 5 games are all red. So I bet everyone's on the under. That's not how you win on Prizepicks, guys. I'm going to be honest. But anyways, that's just a little side note. Same thing with this guy here. Past 4 or 5 green, so he grabs the over. No, guys, this is terrible. So anyways, Robert Thomas, we're going to take a quick look. I know a lot of you guys don't care about hockey, but they are up against the Columbus Blue Jackets. 31st in goals allowed. I believe there's only 31 teams in the NHL. I know they've been adding teams, maybe 31, 32. So pretty much dead last on that. 29th in shots on goal allowed. So obviously they're not very good at defense. They are also like last place in their division. And there is juice towards Robert Thomas's over half an assist, minus 130 on these two sports books. And I did check a third sports book here, Robert Thomas, minus 130 juice on that over assists. If you don't know how assists work in hockey, essentially when you score a goal, there could be 2 assisters. Guy A passes to guy B, and guy B passes to guy C, and guy C scores. That means both guys A and B both get an assist. So basically it's every second person that is going to be getting an assist for the goal. It's not like it's just the first guy like it is in soccer or any other sport. So it is quite easy to actually get assists in NHL as long as you're on the same line as someone who is scoring a goal. And you can even check how many goals they're expected to score here. So St. Louis Blues over 3.5 is kind of 50-50 odds. So the sportsbooks do expect at least 3 to 4 goals for St. Louis Blues. That's 3 to 4 opportunities for Robert Thomas to get an assist. As I was finishing up this entry, Draymond did get bumped to 7.5 assists. I actually already put this entry in before because now I want to get ahead of my bumps in my own videos. So Draymond, I did already grab at under 8 assists. So if you guys did like the analysis and do agree with Draymond going under, you might want to take it at 7.5 assists. I don't think it's a good pick at 7.5, honestly. At 8, it was a great one. But as I'm recording this, guys, things are just going to get bumped. There's not much I could really do about it. Maybe now if you want to switch it up, I did say I like, maybe on the over 7.5 assists with Curry's over 27.5 points. If you guys are feeling the overs on these Golden State duo. If not, you could just completely remove them. I'm going to give you a couple replacement picks here that you could go throw in your entry. I'll just finish off this entry as if I would be taking these guys. Because my last pick was actually going to be on tennis. And there was this game right here. Richard Gasquet on the under 22.5 total games. There's just some decent value on this. You could see minus 128 juice on the under 22.5 games, plus 112 on the over. So that is why I was going with the under 22.5 total games. This game starts at 2:30 Eastern, and I'm filming this at like 1 p.m. Eastern, so it might not be up in time. What I will do, if you don't want to grab Draymond and Curry and you won't get Richard Gasquet in time, I'll give you just 3 more replacements that you could possibly use. I did already lock in the exact entry that I was going over here, Robert Thomas over assists and Gasquet under total games. But because of the bump, I don't recommend that exact thing. So this is the 3 that I would go for. And then if you want some other picks from the OddsJuice dashboard, there's some other ones here, right? LeBron James over 25.5 points. If you're feeling that one, grab that. There's also Siakam over 29.5 PRA. Alex Caruso under 12.5 points. Draymond Green's gone. It got bumped. But there's also Anthony Davis under 12 rebounds. Clint Capella under 10 rebounds. And Kobe White under 35.5 PRA. Of course, you can't grab that in this entry. You already have Kobe White. But these are some other replacement options. If you guys do like any of these, you could throw these into a 4 power, a 5 flex, or a 6 flex. So that's going to be it for today.